Well, I think what he was talking about there was the possibility that there could be transitional provisions to accommodate the departure of the United Kingdom from the European Union, and that those provisions, which would be negotiated between the EU as a whole and the UK, could take account of Gibraltar. Now, that is a very different position from that put forward by the former Spanish Foreign Minister, Mr Margallo, only a few months ago, even a few weeks ago. I think the position, certainly the tone and the style that Mr Dastis has put forward is very different. It's far more moderate, and it's certainly not as obsessive as Mr Margallo used to be. Now, that doesn't mean that we should be off our guard. I think we need to be careful. We need to monitor closely everything that happens, because obviously the substance and the ultimate objective of Spanish policy is the same one. But what certainly seems to have happened in this case in relation to Brexit is that they've moderated the tone.
And does that sort of temporary nature of the arrangement that Dastis, as Spanish Foreign Minister, is willing to contemplate, does that give more scope for a more favourable Brexit?
Well, it's certainly more encouraging to have these kind of comments and to have the comments that we used to have before, at least at that very basic level. But we need to bear in mind there are several agreements that need to be negotiated. One is the UK's exit agreement from the European Union when they leave. The other one is the UK's new relationship with the European Union. And the third and possible agreement might be transitional provisions to accommodate between one and the other happening, between the exit and between the new arrangements coming into place. Now, nobody knows quite what the mechanics are going to be. I think the general view in the United Kingdom is that the two should take place in parallel, whereas there are some voices in Europe saying that no, we negotiate one, you're out, and then we negotiate the other one. So nobody quite knows what the detail is going to be. But certainly from what Mr Margallo used to say before, that Gibraltar should not form part of these arrangements at all, and that the only way we would form part of it is we agreed to share our sovereignty with Spain, to what is being said now is obviously very different. And in that sense, obviously, yes, we welcome. We don't need to get too carried away, but I think at this stage we need to welcome what's been said.
Of course, we've also heard Mr Dastis say that Gibraltar's membership of the EU or relationship with the EU would have to be the subject of a bilateral negotiation between the UK and Spain.
Well, I think what he's saying is not so. It's not very clear actually, because it's not so much membership. I think what is being said is that, look, the UK leaves and Gibraltar leaves, and there is at the same time, preferably in parallel, maybe one after the other with transitional provisions in between, a new agreement negotiated. Now, we know that under Article 50 of the Treaty of Lisbon, the procedure for that is that for the agreement, it needs to be decided not unanimously, but by qualified majority voting of the member states of the European Union. Now, if that agreement needs to be extended, which means that Spain doesn't have a veto in that case, if that agreement needs to be extended beyond the 2 years, if they take more than 2 years in concluding the agreement, and there are some voices who think that it might, there are others who think that it won't, but if it does, then that extension has to be decided unanimously by all the member states of the European Union, including the United Kingdom itself. And if there is no agreement, then the UK is out in what is known generally as a hard Brexit. So really, until we know the details of the negotiating position, until we're certainly clear what it is that Gibraltar wants from the negotiations, but in general terms, what the United Kingdom itself is going to want and is going to take forward, what the European Union position is going to be, which I understand they will make public once the UK has given notice under Article 50. Until then, it's very difficult to go into the actual details of what might happen in the future.